spiritually enlightening and to be life transforming. And along those lines of spiritually enlightening and life transforming, we talk all the time on Sunday mornings, in our classroom, when we come on Wednesdays. Whenever we're together, we talk about our principles, we talk about how the 1, 2, 3s, how we live the life we're looking for. We were actually meant to live because we all have inherent gifts that we discover and use for ourselves and in service to the world. And that's where peace will arise. And so I was speaking with someone last week. They came up and they asked me, and they said, you know, you were telling a story, and I'm always telling stories, I don't know which one it was. They said, you were telling a story, and you were talking about how the way things work, and you said, and then George is my name for spirit. Then George appeared. There George was. And the person asked me, said, well, isn't George always there? So when you said that George appeared, don't you mean that your awareness of George is increased? And I said, you're exactly correct. That is exactly what I meant. So the purpose I'm bringing that up is because what we do here is we share information, we talk, and we ask questions. And when someone's asking a question, they're trying to get it clear in their own mind. How does it actually work? That is what our elder brother Jesus did with the disciples. They asked him a million questions. Hey, brother, what do you mean by this, that, or the other thing? When a person's asking, it's because they're trying to get clear. And how does it work in their lives? So I encourage you to do exactly that. And I'm up here, and language is ambiguous. I think I'm saying something, and certainly we talk about communication. I think I'm saying one thing, and you may hear something else. So please always feel free to ask and to talk about, hey, can you clarify that statement? Can you tell me what you really meant? And, we'll go from there. So that's what we do here. This is about learning, it's about growing, it's about becoming our very best self that we're sent here to do, knowing all the while that we are in fact already perfect because we are one with God, right? So we're actually already perfect exactly where we are. This talk today is entitled, Be Still and Know. This is a powerful concept. I actually wrote a song. I didn't talk with you. I should have sung it this morning, but I forgot to tell you. But it's simply about being still and knowing because of the I am within us. And the importance of being still and knowing. And when we do this, we get to hear a word from Spirit. Our consciousness and our awareness of that is raised, and we hear. So I had a meeting this past week, with someone who I adore. And she is my mentor. She's in the same arena, has been in it for many, many more years than me. And what I told her when I met up with her, I said, it's so interesting to me that the two people in my life who are so impactful with my spiritual group are blonde-headed white women. Just so you know. The very first person who introduced this concept to me was Marilyn Day Hall from San Diego, California. She was blonde and white and a minister in the pulpit, so that was hard for me to get over, but okay. I was raised in Southern Baptist, so woman in the pulpit, come on now. Anyway, got over there. And now this person who is in my life now, walking with me on this journey, who's 30 years ahead of me and is sharing with me what's happening in my life and how Spirit shows up and what my work is to do. We always talk about the work of ministers, we also have work to do too. So she talked about what my work is to do. And so I had this meeting with her, and she's just, how it is when you just meet your hero and you're just so excited. And so I set this meal. First of all, I was even surprised she said yes, she would come. And so we had lunch, and we set the time, and I'm sitting there, I'm there early, because I'm excited. And so I sit and I'm waiting, and time is clicking by, and 10 minutes, okay, well, no traffic. 15 minutes, half an hour goes by. So what do you think, as Brene Brown talks about, I point to this because we had the Brene Brown movie the other night. What do you think the story was that I was telling myself about why she was late? Think it was anything good? No. Anything good? Yeah, nothing good. Nothing good. It's all the unworthiness issues for myself came up to the point that I didn't even text her. I didn't even say, hey, I'm here. Are we at the wrong? Did we agree to the same thing? Or it could have been something as simple as that. And I just had all of these stories rolling around in my head. And what I did was, I paused and I took a breath. And I thought about, what is the truth right now? What is the truth about this woman and what you know, and why is she a mentor? Would she do something like this? No, she never would. So, text her friend, tell her what's happening. So she came in about 10 minutes later, just running in, just apologizing. I mean, it was just, she's so glad to see. We had such a great talk, and she's agreed to do a number of other things with me, which is part of when someone's late, they feel like they owe you something. So that was great. She was like, yeah. But my point is this, the reason why we want to be still and know, the power in being still and know. There are 3 things that I want you to know about the importance of that. When we are still, we get the quiet, the looping, and the story that's probably not true about someone else that's running in our head. There's always a story going on. We're creatives. Think about this. When's the last time you were in Walmart? And my nephew, I love him, he always calls them the pals, the people of Walmart. And he always has these stories. So if you walk in and you see something, I don't know, someone with some flip-flops on, or someone that's got like the pajamas on, or a cashier, what story about them, you don't know, is running through your head? We just tell stories. She's probably tired, maybe she didn't get a chance. Who knows? You don't know them, you don't know anything. We just make up stories because we're creative. And we need to do that. And our mind wants us to fill in the gap. What's happening here? That's just the way our mind works. And so we're constantly running stories. So the importance of being still and knowing is that we get to quiet that chatter, that story. We get to hear a word from God, raise our consciousness, and hear what God has to say about it, because Spirit is always around, available, speaking, whispering, saying things to you, but you have to raise your consciousness up to hear it. And we get to build, when we become quiet, we get to build a conscious relationship with Spirit. When we quiet our mind, we begin to listen. We just get to listen to what is really going on. So we get to rethink. When I talked about the story that was running in my mind, I got to stop and rethink about it. Rethink. Take a breath. What do I want to happen here? Who is this person? Why have you? We talked about this this morning with the chapter 5 in Daring Greatly. One of the things she talked about when we're filling the gap from where we are now to where we say we want to go, and there's a gap in the middle between where you are and where you want to go. And one of the things that she talked about when you're looking at what's happening and when you're filling the gap is that we, not only are we making up stories, but we're also, we have this culture of who we've been and how things have been in our lives and who, how we've been raised. And we're looking at how do we look at our own selves and say, what do we want to do differently? What is actually true about that? What is the truth? And if we could stop for a second and think about, I am not going to follow someone, and neither are you. This is what she talked about in her book. Someone who's not authentic. You're simply not. If I'm up here telling you all about how Spirit works, but I've never said a word to you about how I speak with Spirit, how Spirit walks with me, what that actually looks like, how I mess up. And actually, I don't like to use that word mess up, but when I say mess up, I mean I haven't showed up the way I say I want to be. The difference between, and we talk about this difference between what our desires are, what we aspire to be, and what we practice. I aspire to be kind, but am I practicing kindness? Those are the different things, okay, and how we show up. So when I show up as a spiritual leader and I say, Spirit is with me, Spirit is speaking, and here's how it shows up. If I'm doing that, but my life is raggedy, I'm up here, I'm not kind, would you continue? Would you actually want me up here? Would you even show up? We simply don't. That is the reason I found New Thought, because the center that I was following, I could not follow the leader because the leader was not authentic. The leader was not authentic. Okay? So that's what we get to do. We get to think about what the truth is. We're not going to follow someone that is not authentic. We're going to be listening, and that's what happens when we pause. Because again, God is always. God is. If you could just get that in your mind. And as you begin to go through your day, call upon that which you already know, which is within you, which is waiting. God is always. As the sun comes up and goes down, you can count on it. You can count on knowing and having that ability to call on the best information you could possibly get, because there is no time to Spirit, right? We are locked in a time frame. Today is Sunday, it's 5 minutes after 11. But Spirit is not. Because Spirit is what? Everywhere present. Always, every minute of the day. Here, Africa, the moon, it doesn't matter. Spirit is everywhere present. There is no time. So we can call upon Spirit at any point, because God always is. We are, in fact, we are always one with God. There's no way for you to get away from that. Even if you don't think about it, even if your consciousness isn't up and you don't remember, it doesn't matter. One of the things that someone had shown me this picture of when you don't think that you're spiritual, or you don't think that you are part of God, it's like you're a fish and you're wondering where the water is. Right? You're a fish and you're wondering where the water is. The consciousness of God is all around, in, and through you. This is who you are. This is who we are. This is the promise. We are always perfectly expressing Spirit. Perfectly. Everything that we're doing is perfect. It's as good as it can be right now, because God is perfect. So therefore you are. All we are trying to do is evolve. The planet is evolutionary. That's what we do. You think about who you were a year ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, from a baby to a toddler to this young world here grows, to getting our age. There's going to be some evolutionary processing that we decide on. You don't have to. It's our choice. So we are perfectly expressed right where we are, and we are divinely inspired. Divinely inspired, meaning that if you get someplace and you think, I don't know what to do next, okay. But believe that Spirit does. People ask me all the time, how do you write your talks week after week after week? Because I'm divinely inspired. Always. And why am I divinely inspired? Because I claim that I am. I claim that I am. And so therefore I am. So if you want something, you want to know something, this is what we're trying to do. We're in a unique position here at Harmony Spiritual Center. We're making some decisions about our future. And we simply have to claim what it is we want as a group, right? As a group, a spiritual group, what do we want? Where do we want to go? We simply have to claim it as a group, and we will be there. How doesn't matter, not our business, just that we do. What do we want to do? That's what we get to do. So again, God is always speaks to you, always sends you a message, is always mentoring you. I remember, and I said this to you guys before. I'll tell you in a minute. I'll tell you the story in a minute, but I'll come back to that story. Anyway, God is always with you, always sending you a message. Clarify your thinking, because our thinking is getting muddled. Because again, back to that sitting there and the stories are running around in your head. There are stories in your head that have nothing to do with you. They have to do with people outside of you, right? With your mom, your dad, your sisters, your brothers, your friends, your peers, people that you admired or wanted to be like. You wanted to fit in instead of understanding that you just belong simply. So you listen to the stories they told you. I've told you many, many times how many, growing up, people told me I couldn't sing. Your voice is, it's too white, that's what they told me. Which is deaf to a soul singer, right? Right? Sorry. So you know Aretha. Now, I'm 10 years old and they're comparing me to Aretha Franklin. Right? And I believed them. For many, many years.
He's what Mom's Mabley.
Thank God for that. He said, at least you weren't comparing me to Mom's Mabley. Thank God for that. But anyway, so there are critics in your head that you have to at some point, so that is not my truth. A lot of people will tell you that that's all they can tell you is their truth, because they don't know yours. It's not for them to know. When someone shares something with you, they're sharing their fears, their concerns, what they cannot do. It's not about what you can't do. It's never about what you can't do. Because what you can do, you already know. And Spirit knows. And Spirit will support you in that. So it's these messages that we're getting, and God will clarify your thinking. Clear up the message as your life is unfolding to whatever you decide. God is speaking. So, as a newlywed couple, my very first marriage, I was young and married my high school sweetheart. And so, of course, high school sweetheart, they're kidding. We had a child, broke, we had zero money. And my father was going to come, we were living in California. My father's in Texas, my family is from Texas. And so he was coming out to California to visit us. And not only were we broke, we really simply had no food in the house. We had nothing. And my father was always a jokester, and he wasn't someone that you could borrow money from. He just wasn't that guy. He just wasn't someone that I would tell my troubles to, my story. He just wasn't. So he's visiting, and he always was a teaser. It's like, you don't have any money. What's wrong with your skills? You know what I mean? He would just always be that guy. So he wasn't someone that I was looking forward to having come stay with me, and that I could share what was happening in my life. So I'm at the sink. I'm washing. I remember it so vividly. I'm washing dishes, and tears are running down my face. And my father's there. He's in the living room, and I'm supposed to be making breakfast, like with what? And so I'm washing dishes, and I'm crying, and I say to George, "What am I going to do? I don't have any money." And George says, "Don't worry. Don't worry about it." So what's my next question? The hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? How am I not going to worry? How is that going to work? And George said, "That is not your business. That is mine." And I'm not kidding. Like 10 seconds later, my father walked. This is a man who was stingy, who never did anything for me. He did love me, but he didn't do anything. He walked up and he handed me a $50 bill. Yeah, I know. It was a miracle. She understood. Woo-hoo-hoo. That was a big deal. That was a big deal. My point. And so I reflect back, and I ask you guys to do the same, that we all have places in our lives that we know for a fact Spirit showed up. There's no way for you to know or do what you did except Spirit showed up. Use that whenever you need to remember who you are and how Spirit works in your life. Because Spirit works differently, right? Spirit works, but however you need Spirit to work and to show. Not the way I did, the way you need. That's how Spirit. So Spirit's always speaking, and we just need to listen. So how do we listen? How do we hear? You got to sit quietly. I can't tell you how difficult it was for me to find this picture. A woman sitting quietly. I Googled, because I have stock photo. I have 4 or 5 sites of pictures to find for you guys. And so I just sit quietly, alone. The people that were alone always had something in their hand. There was always a tablet, a phone, on the phone. Of the hundreds of pictures I looked through, I found one where she was actually sitting. This is how difficult it is in our society. It's hard to sit quietly, but this is exactly what we need to do. Sit quietly with nothing in our hands and no thoughts. As little as you can. Of course, your thoughts are going to come, but that's okay. We have minds, our thoughts are going to come. But just want to sit quietly and allow Spirit to come and listen for the message, because there is a message for you. And you won't hear it. The TV's going, you got your phone in your hand. Because if your phone is in your hand, what are you waiting on? Phone call? Looking for a message? Text message, right? So look for a message from God. This is how we do it. Just sit quietly. Okay? And when we do this, what we're doing, as I said, quiet the mind, listen to God, because I always speak. And the third thing was how we build a conscious relationship. So, building a relationship. So, I'm going to ask you, what are the elements of a good relationship? What are you looking for when you say that you have a good relationship? What do you want? What are you willing to do? What's in a good relationship? Trust. Exactly. Because I'm not going to share with you if I think you can't hold my confidences. Right? But how do I know to trust you? Last week we talked about this, be the first to love. So I'm just going to trust you and see what happens. You have to do it first. Trust is a building process. Right? So you have to do it first. You'll find out soon enough. Okay? What other elements are in a good relationship? What is it? Compatibility. And that's an interesting thing, because it's not really about that we like the same things. Because you can learn to like something, right? He likes to bowl, and I like to watch romantic movies, whatever. If you love somebody, you're gonna, you start bowling a little bit, he'll maybe watch 1 or 2 rom-coms and then tell you can't stand it. But whatever. So, but compatibility is all about it's you. If you are a level of intellectual compatibility. You do, because otherwise you're not going to be on the same level to be able to communicate well. So you don't have to be exactly the same, but you have to be compatible within a range, and you'll determine that. You have to be compatible in a number of ways, like your integrity. Like if you're a person who just always is honest and they're not, there's no compatibility there. So your core values have to be compatible. You get that's what compatibility means. It's not liking the same things. What else? Respect. And what else would be? And follow the rules. You're the wrong group for that, baby. But yes, that's a good thought. Authenticity.
Yeah, the honesty, authenticity,
Exactly.
integrity, they go all
They
together.
all follow together, exactly. And authenticity means showing up and letting your real heart show. In a relationship, I'm looping, and we watched that Brene Brown the other night, and she's got the story ringing around in her head when she said something to her husband, and he responded in a way like he didn't hear it. And how many times have we said that? You ain't listening to me. Right? And we already start running the story about why he's not listening. Well, he may not be listening because he's worried about something, because something else is going on that we're not aware of. So, you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, I just want to add to hers. Following rules could be setting boundaries.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's a good one. Yes, thank you. Setting boundaries. That's very good. Absolutely. And you do. You have to say, you set up what is okay and what is not okay in your life. So we all know what it takes. Several different things for you. And there'll be a different compendium of the expectations and what a relationship is good for you. But those elements are there. And we need to do that. The reason why I bring that up is because we want a relationship with God. These things have to show up as well, right? In our relationship with God. My brother-in-law is in that. I'm going to close as I close. That's a Baptist thing. We say as I close, we talk for another 15, 20 minutes. But anyway, as I close, my brother-in-law is in the hospital, and he's having multiple surgeries. And so he's in the hospital for a week or so. And so I'm just showing up. I can't do anything. He's in the hospital. He's having surgery, and my sister is there trying to take care of him because he can't speak. He's had surgery, and so he can't speak. There's nothing I can do. But when I walked out yesterday, he just held my hand. He just held my hand and just nodded. It's powerful that you just spend time. You have to spend time. So you got to spend time with God. You want a relationship, spend time. Spend that quiet time, spend time talking. That is a powerful thing, just spend time. So the importance of being still and know, because that is what this is about, is so that we can hear a word from God, because God is always speaking and has a word for you, so that you can then receive that word. You're raising your consciousness so that you can receive a word from God, and then you build a conscious relationship with God. Why? Why do we want to build a relationship with God? Because someone had an answer?
We can be whole.
Say again?
We can be whole.
We can be whole, complete. It is who we are.
Faithful.
It's what exactly love God. Absolutely. When we develop a relationship with God, we are doing exactly what we came here to do. Letting life be easy. Not that there's no trials, because trials come. People leave, people pass away, there's hurt, there's pain. But when we are in a relationship with God, we let life, we're in the flow of life. We know that there is something greater than ourselves that we can call upon. And that is where peace in our lives come from. We have to have peace, and then from there, joy. Joy. That's why. So that we can have a joyful life. Namaste.
Amen.